Baby Tyler, project manager at a small but legit software shop, call it Iron Peak Solutions. Not some hypebeast startup with nap pods and oat milk on draft. Just a quiet, boring, profitable company that builds custom systems for industrial clients. Warehouses, routing, factory tracking, compliance dashboards. The kind of software nobody tweets about, but everyone depends on. Team was tiny, like 23 people tops. Most of us had been there forever. Office vibe was basically perfect. No politics, no family culture, no corporate theater. You got judged on one thing. Did your work actually work? If you shipped clean, on time, you were golden. Simple deal. My right-hand guy was Mark. Mark was the lead engineer, somewhere in his early 50s. One of those terrifyingly smart dudes who can stare at a mountain of code and instantly spot the single typo. He'd been there since day one. Pretty sure half the company's product existed in his brain first. He built the core framework, the tooling, the whole skeleton we stood on. Mark was old school in the best way. Told grown-worthy dad jokes. Brought in bagels every Friday like it was a sacred ritual. Treated the intern and the owner exactly the same. No ego, no flexing, just competence and decency. He was the office heartbeat. We had a smooth rhythm for years. Client shows up with a messy problem. We map the requirements, design the solution, build it, test it, deploy it. Deadlines hit, budget stayed sane, clients stayed happy. Money was steady, life was stable. Then, around spring of last year, the original founder decided he was done. Guy wanted to retire, buy a lake house. Whatever, he sold his controlling stake to an investment group. The investors rolled in with that calm, we're here to help, smile, told us not to stress, said they loved our model and just wanted to grow it. Their first big move was hiring a modern CEO to take us to the next level. And that's when she showed up. Her name was Kendra, walked in on a Monday, like she owned the oxygen, looked maybe early 30s, had that specific vibe of someone who spends more hours polishing LinkedIn posts than solving real problems. Perfect hair, perfect blazer, perfect smile that never reached her eyes. She immediately called an all hands in the big conference room. We all shuffled in, expecting normal stuff. Q4 goals, new sales pipeline, product roadmap, client strategy. Nah, for a full half hour, she didn't mention our software once. It was just a pressure washer of corporate jargon. Talked about redefining our mission narrative, creating a culture of psychological safety, challenging outdated power dynamics, moving beyond legacy thinking. I remember glancing at Mark. He had this dead neutral stare, like he was watching a documentary in a language he didn't speak, slowly nodding like, yep, sure, whatever you say. Her big closing line was that her main mission was turning Iron Peak into a truly inclusive, equitable, forward-facing workplace. We clapped because that's what you do when the new boss finishes a speech. Nobody knew what else to do. And the vibe shifted basically overnight. Kendra's first official change was mandatory weekly culture alignment sessions. Every Thursday afternoon, 2 straight hours, everything stopped. No coding, no meetings, no client calls. We all had to sit there while a consultant she hired popped up on Zoom. They'd talk about unconscious bias, privilege, microaggressions. The whole checklist first session was surreal. We had to go around the room and announce our pronouns. Grown men who debug PLC integrations for a living, mumbling, he, him, like they were in trouble. Mark looked like he wanted to fold into the carpet and disappear. These workshops were a productivity black hole. Thursday became a dead zone. Everyone quietly started cramming work into Wednesday and Friday, because clients don't care about your feelings. Seminar schedule. But you couldn't say that out loud. If you even hinted it was a waste, Kendra would give you this sweet little passive-aggressive smile, the kind that says, I'm memorizing your face for later. Then she started tweaking everything around the edges. Our marketing stock photos got audited. Anything with a white guy in a hard hat got nuked for being non-representative. Our website suddenly looked like a brochure for a utopian commercial where everyone is smiling in perfect diversity. She rewrote job postings too. Every listing got these long paragraphs about commitment to DEI and values-based collaboration. Actual skills and experience got shoved lower, like an afterthought. I tried to stay out of it, kept my head down, focused on timelines, deliverables, keeping clients happy. I told myself it was just noise at the top. As long as our team shipped, the fluff wouldn't matter. That was the lie. I thought competence was armor. It isn't. Not when someone's looking for reasons. First real crack showed up with Mark. We had a kickoff meeting for a new client. Big industrial outfit, messy requirements, tight deadline. The kind of project where scope creep can kill you if you blink. Kendra sat in to observe team dynamics. So she's in the corner with a notebook, smiling like a therapist. Client starts listing needs, and of course, it keeps growing. Oh, also we need reporting. Oh, also can it integrate with this ancient system? Oh, also we want support on Go Live. Our account manager finally asks Mark if engineering can handle the extra load. Mark does his usual thing. Chuckles, friendly, confident. Says, yeah, it'll be rough, but we can pull it off. Says we'll need everyone pushing together. Jokes that we might even end up running the help desk ourselves on launch day to keep it smooth. Normal, harmless figure of speech. Nobody reacts. Nobody even blinks except Kendra. I watch her pen stop. She tilts her head like she just caught a scent. Writes something down, real slow. And there's this tiny smirk. Meeting wraps, client leaves, everything seems fine. We go back to work like normal. Next morning, Mark isn't at his desk. At first I assume he's on a call or got pulled into something. 9:30 comes and goes. Still nothing. Around 10:15 the whole office gets an email from Kendra. Short, cold, no fluff this time. Mark Rivers is no longer with Iron Peak, effective immediately. Please respect his privacy during this transition. That's it. Room goes dead silent, like someone unplugged the building. You could hear the HVAC breathing. Nobody says a word because nobody knows what to say, and everyone's thinking the same thing. If they can erase Mark overnight, none of us are safe. Whole office is shell-shocked. Mark wasn't just an employee. Mark was the load-bearing wall. Firing him felt like an NFL team cutting their franchise QB mid-season. Nobody had any clue why. At first, we all assumed he must have nuked a production database or stolen money or something, because that's the only universe where you walk a guy like that out. Turns out, nope. I find out the real story later that day from a quiet finance lady named Renee. Renee's the type who never gossips, but always somehow knows everything. She's friends with someone in HR. She catches me by the coffee machine like she's about to puke, face pale, voice low. Tells me Kendra called Mark into her office right after that client kickoff. Fired him on the spot. No warning, no let's talk, just done. Official reason was something like creating a non-inclusive environment through gendered exclusionary language. I actually laugh because my brain thinks it's a joke. Renee doesn't laugh back. She says the word that did, it was manning, as in manning the support lines. The most normal old person phrase on earth. Apparently Kendra told him it was a microaggression, that it reinforces patriarchal norms, that it might make women feel unwelcome in technical roles, over one dumb, harmless word. Mark tried to explain it was just an expression, didn't matter. Security got involved. He was escorted out like he'd been caught stealing laptops. And he wasn't even allowed to go back to his desk to grab his stuff, just straight to the door. I stand there holding my crappy paper cup like it's a crime scene photo. Stomach drops out, because now it isn't corporate annoyance anymore. It's a purge. Mark mentored half the office, trained people from zero, built the systems we sell, and he got tossed in the trash over a syllable. That's when the fear really kicks in, like cold, physical fear. We all realized the rules changed and nobody told us years of loyalty? Doesn't matter. Performance? Doesn't matter. Successful launches? Doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is staying on the correct side of Kendra's worldview. Morale falls off a cliff. The easy back and forth we used to have just evaporates. Nobody jokes anymore. No dumb memes in chat. No casual, hey, can you take a look at this, without 3 disclaimers. Everyone gets guarded. People start talking like they're wearing a wire. Emails get stiff and overly formal. Conversations become short, flat, strictly task-based. It feels like working in a library where the librarian is armed and she's itching for an excuse. Then the new hires start rolling in. Kendra personally takes over recruiting to replace Mark, and also a couple of other senior guys who quietly bailed after he got walked out. They didn't make speeches. They just updated LinkedIn and vanished. New lead engineer is a woman named Tessa, fresh out of college. Like, just graduated energy. Resume is light on real experience, heavy on campus clubs and initiatives. Co-led some empowerment group, started a diversity in tech student org. All bullet points, no shipped products. I hear later, her interview was basically a TED Talk. She spent most of it talking about decolonizing the tech space and dismantling oppressive frameworks. Somehow that got her the top technical seat in a company that runs industrial logistics systems. 2 more devs get hired right after. Both women too. Same vibe, same kinds of credentials. Lots of activism, not a lot of software. They click up instantly, like day 2. They're a little squad. Half the day they're clustered around one desk, talking loud about reality TV, astrology, which crystals are protective, and how men are basically a design flaw. They're not even subtle about it. Meanwhile, the work, man, I'm trying to be fair, but it's rough. Deadlines slide constantly. Code comes in sloppy and full of bugs, basic stuff that should have been caught in a unit test. They break things, don't notice, then act surprised when prod catches fire. And as the project manager, it's on me to get performance out of them, which turns out to be impossible because feedback doesn't function like feedback anymore. If I point out a bug, I'm not helping them improve. I'm undermining their confidence. If I ask why something estimated at a day is taking 4, I'm not managing scope. I'm creating a hostile, high-pressure environment. If I try to push for a deadline, I'm prioritizing arbitrary timelines over human well-being. They go straight to Kendra with it, every time, and Kendra always sides with them. She calls me into her office like I'm the problem child, lectures me about my outdated authoritarian management style, tells me I need to be a servant leader, says my focus should be emotional validation, not metrics obsession, because apparently deadlines are just vibes now. My job turns into a nightmare. I'm basically a babysitter for incompetent employees with CEO-grade plot armor. I spend half my day gently rephrasing basic instructions so nobody feels attacked, and the other half fixing their mistakes myself, staying late, coming in early, patching broken builds at 11 p.m. while they're posting about self-care. Quality starts tanking hard. We start getting client complaints for the first time in years. Bugs slip into production. Deadlines get pushed. Launch dates slide like they're on ice. And when I bring the client concerns to Kendra, she does this insane mental judo. The client isn't mad because we shipped garbage. The client has unrealistic expectations. We aren't underperforming. The client isn't respecting our work-life boundaries. Every problem gets translated through her ideological filter. Nothing is ever our fault. It's always some vague system. Patriarchy, capitalism, whatever word fits the day. The original team starts dissolving. More of the old guys leave. They see the writing on the wall. They know a sinking ship when they smell one. And every time someone resigns, Kendra holds this little meeting, talks about how the culture is healing, how misaligned individuals are choosing to move on. She says it like it's a victory, like losing your best people is a cleansing ritual. Watching her smile while the company bleeds out is surreal. I start looking for a new job, but the market sucks. Everything decent has 500 applicants or wants you to do 3 months of interviews for a pay cut. So I switch strategies, go full gray man, become as invisible and non-threatening as possible. I agree with everything in meetings. I nod along in workshops. I sprinkle the right buzzwords into emails like seasoning. I keep my tone neutral, my face blank, my opinions locked in a vault. Goal isn't to win anymore. Goal is survive, collect checks, and get out without Kendra deciding my phrasing needs to be addressed. The gray man thing works for a bit. I hate waking up, but I'm still getting paid. Company is basically coasting on the reputation it built over the past 10-ish years. Older clients start quietly peeling off, not in a dramatic way. Just fewer renewals, fewer referrals, more, we're going another direction. Somehow Kendra lands one monster contract anyway, like huge name client. The kind you drop into a pitch deck in 72 PT font. Biggest deal we've ever signed, absolute make or break. If we nail it, we're set for years. If we botch it, we're probably done. Kendra announces it in an all hands like she just cured cancer, beaming, clapping for herself with her eyes. Says, "This project will prove how powerful our new collaborative, inclusive operating model is." Then she looks straight at me, holds eye contact way too long, and says I'm going to be the lead PM on it. Feel my stomach drop, like the air in the room got colder. She's handing me the most critical project in company history. And my delivery team is 3 people who can't ship a calculator app without breaking time itself. It's not a compliment, it's a setup. If it succeeds, she'll frame it as her enlightened leadership saving the company. If it fails, I'm the fall guy, the leftover old culture manager who couldn't adapt, probably sabotaged the future with my toxic rigidity. But I can't say no, so I nod and accept like a hostage reading a script. Project kicks off, and it's a disaster from day one. We get the client requirements, and the new engineering crew barely seems to understand what they're reading. The client wants core functionality built first. Data flows, integrations, reporting, the boring essential stuff. Tessa and her crew immediately start fighting about the UI. Not even layout, like basic colors and vibes. They'll spend an hour debating whether the palette feels too aggressive. They burn an entire week arguing about the emotional impact of a button style. I'm sitting there watching the calendar bleed out, thinking about the contract milestones, thinking about penalties, thinking about how I'm going to be wearing this failure like a name tag. I start pulling 13, 14-hour days, trying to steer the ship away from the iceberg with a broken oar. At night, I rewrite their specs because half of them are just feelings with bullet points. On weekends, I'm in the codebase fixing basic logic errors. I'm patching things together just so we don't immediately default. I'm doing the work of 3 people and still losing ground. And instead of being grateful, the new hires get salty. They don't see it as me trying to keep us alive. They see it as an invasion, micromanaging, undermining autonomy, stifling creativity. One day, Tessa straight up tells me my male ego can't handle women making technical decisions. I just stare at her, because I'm literally the only reason we have anything that runs. My brain feels like it's grinding gears without oil. I try to raise the alarm with Kendra, because this is bigger than my stress level. This is company ending. I bring her the plan, the missed milestones, bug reports, test failures, clear timelines showing we're sliding off a cliff. I lay it out as calmly as I can, facts, dates, deliverables, risks. She flips through it like she's skimming a menu, then looks up at me with this soft, condescending smile, tells me I'm focusing too much on rigid metrics, not enough on team harmony, says my fixation on problems is creating negative energy, and that negative energy is blocking the team's organic creative process. It hits me in that moment. I'm talking to a brick wall that reads corporate wellness blogs and thinks they're scripture. There's no reaching her. She lives in a reality she curated for herself, and I'm just a character she can edit out. Breaking point comes about 2 months in. We've got a major beta delivery due to the client, the kind of milestone that gets watched, the kind you don't miss without consequences. Night before, I'm at my laptop until like 3 a.m., duct taping broken modules together, rewriting chunks, commenting out landmines, just trying to make something, anything, that boots and doesn't instantly crash. It's ugly, it's fragile, but it technically runs. Next morning, I drag myself into the office dead-eyed, running on caffeine and spite. Tessa marches up to my desk, looking like she's about to call the cops, accuses me of going behind her back and changing her code without permission. I tell her, as gently as I can manage, that her code didn't work, and if I didn't fix it, we'd have nothing to give the client. She starts getting louder, says I invalidated her contribution, says I used my privilege to override her work. She's raising her voice like she's performing for an audience. And yeah, the whole office is watching. People pretend to type while they stare. Tessa storms straight to Kendra's office. 10 minutes later, I get the calendar invite. The dreaded little meeting, pop-up, HR included. My heart doesn't even race. It just goes cold. I walk in. Kendra's sitting there with an HR rep I barely know. Kendra has this expression, triumphant disappointment, like someone who's been waiting for you to slip so they can finally pounce. She doesn't waste time, says, "There's been a serious complaint about my conduct," says I created a hostile, toxic environment for my female colleagues, says I undermined the lead engineer, sabotaged the team's collaborative spirit, and shown a clear inability to work within the company's new cultural framework. I don't even argue. What's the point? It's a kangaroo court. Verdict got written before I stepped through the door. I just sit there numb, staring at the table grain. Kendra tells me I'm terminated, effective immediately. No severance speech. No, thank you for your years. Just done. HR starts walking me out like I'm radioactive. On the way out, I pass the new team. They're huddled together, watching me. Not sympathy, not awkwardness, smug satisfaction, like they just won something. And I realize I'm the last leftover from the old crew. The last pillar they wanted gone. And now I'm out. They got what they wanted. The asylum is officially run by the inmates. I walk out of the building and don't look back. Getting escorted out feels unreal. 1 minute you're a senior manager. Next minute you're apparently a security threat who can't be trusted to grab his own jacket. It's humiliating, sure. But mostly I feel this weird, clean relief, like a pressure band just got cut off. The daily dread is gone. The ideological minefield is gone. The babysitting is gone. I go home, collapse, sleep for like 12 straight hours without waking up once. Next few weeks are basically static in my memory. Wake up, stare at laptop, rewrite resume again, apply to another batch of jobs, refresh inbox like a lab rat hitting a button. Repeat. I keep in contact with Renee from finance. One of the last normal humans left inside Iron Peak, and also my only window into the wreck. We meet up for coffee like once a week. Same little place near the freeway. Plastic chairs, burnt espresso, always too loud. She slides into the booth looking more tired every time, and gives me the latest chapter from the sinking ship, apparently after I got walked out. Kendra restructured leadership, which is corporate for handed the wheel to the person who crashed the car. Tessa got promoted to the official head of the big contract. Full authority, full ego, zero ability, Renee tells me. Without me there doing midnight CPR on their builds, the project went from slow-motion train wreck to full dumpster inferno, like instantly. Daily builds started going out to the client completely broken. Stuff that worked on Tuesday would vanish on Wednesday. Core features would just disappear. Database scripts failing. UI elements half-rendering. Random errors that screamed, "Nobody tested this once." The new team's response wasn't "fix it." It was, "The client is being oppressive." Renee says she overheard a conference call that made her want to crawl out of her skin. Client's technical lead pointed out a critical database bug, like, serious, your data integrity is toast level. And Tessa told the guy he needed to examine his privilege before critiquing her work. This client is a massive old-school manufacturing company. Steel-toe boots, union guys, hard hats, the whole deal. You can probably guess how that landed. They stopped being friendly real fast. They started documenting everything, every missed milestone, every broken build, every unprofessional email, every weird little lecture, screenshots, call notes, timestamps, paper trail as thick as a phone book. And Kendra is totally clueless through all of it. Not even nervous CEO clueless. More like living in a scented candle universe, clueless. Renee says she's busy doing vanity projects. Spent a stupid amount of money on a website redesign. New homepage full of smiling stock photos of diverse women in hoodies pointing at laptops. Meanwhile, our actual product is dying in the street. Then she institutes wellness half-days. Every Friday, the team is encouraged to log off at noon to recharge, while the biggest contract in company history is actively on fire. And of course, she's posting on LinkedIn every day. Long inspirational posts about how proud she is of the female-led, values-first culture she's building. Hashtags and everything. Pure delusion. Renee says the office atmosphere is getting desperate. The few remaining competent people are either hunting for exits, or they've just mentally clocked out, doing the absolute bare minimum to not get targeted, waiting for the inevitable crash like passengers on a plane that's already losing altitude. But the new hires? They're thriving. For them, it's paradise, job with zero accountability. They can ship garbage, talk down to clients, act rude to coworkers, and nothing happens. If anything, they get praised for holding boundaries. Perfect employees for Kendra's new Iron Peak. About a month after I got canned, I get a call from an unknown number. Almost don't pick up, but something tells me to answer. It's the client-side project manager from the big contract. The guy who's been eating all the chaos for breakfast. Name's Greg, very polished, very controlled voice. Says he heard, "I'm no longer with Iron Peak." Tells me he's sorry to hear that. Then pauses like he's choosing his words with tweezers. Says things have degraded significantly since my departure. Asks if I'd be willing to talk. Off the record, we meet up at this little bar near downtown. Nothing fancy. Sticky tables, loud TVs, decent beer. He buys the first round. And he basically just wants to know what the hell happened. Says they'd worked with Iron Peak for years, on smaller stuff. Always impressed with how professional we were, how sharp our engineers were, how clean our deliveries were. And now it feels like dealing with a completely different company, like a company run by moody teenagers. I don't sugarcoat it. I tell him everything. New ownership, Kendra's workshops, Mark getting fired over a normal phrase, the new hiring pipeline, the click, the deadlines turning into suggestions, me doing the work just to keep the lights on, then getting executed for it. He just listens, doesn't interrupt, just slowly shakes his head like each sentence is worse than the last. When I'm done, he leans back and exhales, tells me they're pulling the plug. Formal termination for breach of contract is already being drafted. Legal team is gearing up to claw back their upfront payment. Says they've lost months of time and multiple millions in budget because of this circus. Then he says this line that sticks in my brain, says, "We paid for software, not a sociology lab." Can't even argue with him. A week later, Renee calls me and she sounds borderline panicked. Voice tight, fast, tells me the hammer finally fell. The client sent the official termination notice. Lawyers are involved. It hits the company like a bomb. Kendra calls an emergency all hands. Renee says it was a masterclass in deflection. Kendra stands up in front of everyone and announces they made the difficult but necessary decision to end the partnership, like it was their choice, like they're the ones bravely walking away. She claims the client has a toxic culture, that they don't align with Iron Peak's values, tries to spin the whole collapse into some noble act of principle. Nobody's buying it. Everyone in that room knows the truth. That contract money was the only thing keeping the lights on, and now the lights are flickering. Layoffs start the very next day. Renee says it's a bloodbath. Support staff gone, ops people gone, finance gets gutted. HR starts doing those little private meetings, back to back, like a factory line. Renee loses her job too. She calls me after, quiet for a second, then laughs in that hollow way. But here's the part that makes my jaw clench. The new hires, Kendra's chosen ones, all safe. Tessa and her little squad keep their seats, while the people who actually kept the business functioning get tossed out. Iron Peak turns into a ghost ship. Crew cut down to a handful of people who can't code their way out of a cardboard box, captained by a woman convinced the iceberg is the one being unreasonable. Around the same time, I finally land something, competitor across town. Better title, more money, actual grown-ups. First day there, I feel my shoulders drop for the first time in months. I'm moving on, but I can't help watching Iron Peak's slow collapse from a distance, like rubbernecking a wreck you barely survived. I start a group chat with Mark, Renee, and a couple of other guys who got forced out, and we just sit there, refreshing, trading updates, watching the ship sink one plank at a time. We named the group Chat the Iron Peak Refugees, mostly because support group felt too real. It turns into our little corner for bad updates and gallows humor. Every week someone posts something new, and it's never good news. First thing that really hits is their Glassdoor page. Turns into a crater. 1-star reviews stacked like bricks. People who'd been silent for months suddenly have nothing to lose. Anonymous posts spelling out the whole story. The sudden firings, the talent drain, the wellness sermons while projects burned, the toxic positivity that covered up the fact nothing was getting done. Reading it felt like watching strangers describe your own car accident from the sidewalk. Iron Peak's name gets dragged through the mud so hard it stops being mud and starts being concrete. Clients stop calling, new prospects, ghost them. Any decent candidate with half a brain Googles the company and backs away slowly. Not that they're landing new hires anyway. They couldn't attract talent if they offered free Teslas at the door. Renee tells us the investors are furious behind the scenes. Apparently there were some very loud closed-door calls. But their hands are tied because Kendra's got a contract, golden parachute paperwork, termination clauses, lawyer language that basically says, enjoy your problem. So the slow death just keeps going. The final spiral takes like 5 months. Not an explosion, a bleed out. The kind where you keep thinking, okay, surely now it stops. And then it just keeps dripping. People leave in 2s and 3s. Equipment stops getting replaced. Subscriptions lapse. Support tickets pile up. Renee's updates get darker every week. Then one afternoon, she drops a photo in the chat. It's the front of our old office, same glass doors, same ugly lobby plant, but there's a giant "For Lease" sign plastered on the window, and the Iron Peak logo on the door is gone, scraped off like it never existed. Just that clean rectangular ghost where the letters used to be, no dramatic announcement, no goodbye email, just erased. And that's how we find out it's officially over. A profitable, stable company that had been around for like 12 years, gone in under 1, not because the economy collapsed, not because a competitor outplayed us, not because the product stopped being needed. It got eaten from the inside, killed by a leadership style that valued gestures more than results. A few weeks after the lease sign photo, Mark suggests we all meet up. One last drink, he says, like a wake, but without the flowers. We pick a quiet bar out in the suburbs. Dim lighting, cheap beer, no music loud enough to force small talk. There's about 8 of us, all familiar faces, people who actually built that place, the ones who stayed late for launches, the ones who fixed the ugly problems, the ones who trained the next guy. Nobody's celebrating. It's too weird for that. It's mostly just sitting there with that hollow feeling, like you lost something you didn't realize you cared about until it was gone. Near the end of the night, one of the guys, Trevor, pulls out his phone, gets this grin like he's about to show us a car wreck video, says, "You need to see this." He found Kendra's LinkedIn. And of course, it's updated. She's not CEO anymore. Her new title is something like Independent Culture and Strategy Advisor, which is the most "I got fired but I'm reframing it" title I've ever seen. And she posted a fresh essay that same day, long, self-congratulatory wall of text, talking about her journey at Iron Peak, how she bravely challenged a stagnant male-dominated culture, how she centered marginalized voices, how she held the line against entrenched legacy stakeholders. She makes it sound like she fought a war, and the company failing isn't her fault. It's proof the industry isn't ready for truly progressive leadership. The last line is the cherry on top, something like, "Sometimes the most courageous thing a leader can do is step away from a system that refuses to evolve," and she's excited to take what she learned and help other organizations navigate transformation. Zero self-awareness, zero accountability. In her head, she didn't crash the plane. She's a visionary who was too advanced for the passengers, and the rest of us are just villains in her hero arc. Trevor scrolls up to the reactions. Post has been up a few hours. It has 3 likes. One is from Tessa, the other 2 are from the other hires in her little clique. That's it. Her entire fan club fits in a compact sedan. Then Trevor goes, "Wait, there's a comment." And yeah, there's one comment from Greg, the client-side PM from the contract she torched. And it's the most calm, professional throat slit I've ever read. It says something like, "Our company lost $3.1 million and 14 months of development time due to the gross mismanagement and lack of professionalism under your leadership. The only lesson here is that competence and integrity still matter more than slogans. We wish you success in your future endeavors." No emojis, no insults, no drama, just a receipt stapled to her forehead. Trevor scrolls again. Comment is gone. Kendra deleted it. Of course she did. But it doesn't matter, because somebody screenshotted it first. And that screenshot is already making the rounds, shared in group chats. posted to forums, getting passed around by tech people like a campfire story. We're all just staring at the phone in silence. And then Mark starts laughing. Not happy laughing, not even amused laughing. It's that deep, exhausted, bitter laugh you do when you're past anger. The kind where it sounds like it hurts. And once he starts, it's contagious. I start laughing too. Then Trevor, then everyone. 8 grown adults in a quiet bar, laughing like lunatics. Because what else are you supposed to do with something that stupid? This woman managed to wreck a working company, blow up careers, burn client trust to the ground, and still rewrite it in her head as a noble crusade. And the worst part is she's not going to hit bottom. She's going to fail upward. She'll slap consultant on it, show up at some other place with a fresh set of buzzwords, and do it again to a new batch of people who don't know the story yet. We raise our glasses. Mark goes, to competence. Then shrugs like it's almost funny. Nice concept, in theory. We drink to that. And over the next few months, everyone lands on their feet. Good jobs, better pay, less insanity. Actual adults in charge. Life moves on. But every time I drive past that old office park, I still see that empty rectangle on the glass door in my head. And I still hear Kendra's voice saying, team harmony, while the timeline burns. I don't think about it as men versus women, or any of that internet garbage. It was simpler, competence versus incompetence. And what happens when incompetence gets a crown and a holy mission? It doesn't just break projects. It burns everything around it down to ash.